Hello, my name is Adrian Sarno, and my final project for the course of Advanced Deep Learning is Automatic Scientific Discovery. This is a study motivated by the goal of accelerating scientific discovery through the process of automating the scientific method. The AI agent discussed in this guide, in this study, it applies only to machine learning projects for the moment because that is the only kind of lab that is available to the software um, to test the experiments. Um, the software runs on a GPU and the machine is available to test machine learning experiments, but no other type of experiments out there. So besides running the experiments, the AI scientist agent automates the stages of hypothesis generation, the write-up of the manuscript, and the peer review. So also we acknowledge that it has some limitations, but with the advancement of the foundation models, uh, these limitations might be uh, resolved, and this tool might become essential for doing machine learning research or other type of research, maybe too. So I will go over my experience of running this framework on a small project, and also mm, I will start by explaining how the framework works to um, be able to better understand what to expect of it. So this process always starts with a seed project, also known as template in the paper, which is a bunch of information provided by the user about the topic or the kind of project that the user needs to research. It includes a data set. The agent is not able to download its own data set. And also includes a basic script with the creation of the model and a training script. And it doesn't need to be a very sophisticated script. It could be a basic script um, because the model is going to start modifying the script and iterating over the modifications to add more and more improvements. But of course, if you have a very good training script, why not starting from there? It's your starting point. The better it is, the faster you will get to good results. So besides that, you also have a JSON file where you can input an idea of what changes to do to the model first. But it's not necessary because, as said before, the agent generates its own ideas. So the next thing that happens is that the agent calls an LLM uh, implementing uh, patterns like chain of thought or self-reflection. So it's a reasoning LLM to generate the hypotheses and to evaluate them for novelty. Um, well, the AI scientist call um, retrieves papers from Semantic Explorer through the API and searches for similar papers papers with similar ideas and validate that the idea that is about to experiment on is new. If it's not new, has been published, it scraps it and generates a new idea. And finally, uh, when it has the idea of what it wants to try, it plans the experiment with the same LLM, and then it delegates the implementation to a code agent. And the agent is called either, and is an open source agent independently developed, and it takes care of implementing code changes in the script. So that C script that you originally provided is going to be updated by the either agent. Once that is complete, the AI scientist executes the experiments, which is essentially running the script for training the model and collecting the metrics. And once the training process has succeeded, and that happens in the local machines, that's why the machine has to have a GPU. Once the results are available, it drafts a scientific paper, and then it performs an evaluation through the peer review agent, and it might actually decide to iterate several times until the quality meets certain standard, or it reaches the limit of GPU usage or time. Here's a workflow that I just explained in pictures. The first column is the idea generation phase, where the ideas are generated, then they are checked against other papers through a search in semantic color, and then the idea is scored according to several metrics, like how much novelty, there is a score in novelty of the idea, or how interesting it is, or how feasible it is, etc. And then those ideas are inserted in an experimental template, which is a way to communicate with either, and then either generates the script. The script gets executed, and there is a cycle here of updating plans and executing experiments. And finally, it generates plots and a paper, basically a manuscript, fills the manuscript template. So within the seed project that you provide, there is a standard template that doesn't say much. It just says, okay, here goes the introduction, here go the methods, the results, the conclusion, etc. And that gets filled, and it uses LaTeX too, and it has to be compiled correctly and generated, and then the paper is reviewed. So in practical terms, what you need to run this is an NVIDIA GPU with CUDA and PyTorch. I installed that requirement with the following AWS instance. It's G4DN 12 large, the one with Ubuntu and PyTorch AMI. Here are some simple instructions to install the AI scientist project and generating a virtual environment, install the requirements, install the latest support if it's not there in the machine. And then going back to the seed template that you have to provide. So in this, you can put one or more training data sets that are relevant to the topic or the area that you want to study. And then very basic training script from a model that is popular, and so it can be easily modified. There is also some plotting code to show training metrics that will also be susceptible to modification by the agent. And there is a LaTeX folder with some styles. Here is the Markdown write-up template. As you can see, it's very simple. It says title, abstract, background, experiments, etc. So very, very simple. And passing this to the agent is going to fill it up in this form. Together with the framework, the authors provide three templates, three seed projects that you can use to investigate in these three areas. The first one is a diffusion model, so the generation of images. And the second one is basically a simple LLM. So it's an autoregressive language model based on transformers. And the final one is a Grokking analysis. Now, Grokking is a term of deep learning when it happens when you have a hyperparameterized model in deep learning that, or basically you have a model that is too big for the data set and it memorizes the data set and then completely overfits. But after hundreds of thousands of iterations, eventually it starts to generalize. And there is a point where the model stops overfitting and generalizes, and that phenomenon is called grokking, and is one of the areas of research in deep learning. And you have here one template to studies experiments in that area. I ran one of the templates. This is called NanoGPT, and is the template that provides a seed of a large language model, and it's actually quite slow. It takes hours to run, but this is the output of the agent. Like here you can see two ideas that the agent has generated, and like adaptive block size or layer-wise learning rates. And you can see the kind of ideas that they are not too trivial. They're simple, but not the trivial thing of, oh, I add an extra layer or yeah. Here are more ideas like curriculum learning, orthogonal initialization. So all of these things are going to be tried, and if some of them produce improvements in the metrics, there probably is going to originate a paper written in one of these ideas. This is another of the, well, this is just to show that the the plotting side. So you provide a template for training and another template for plotting. This is what the plotting was doing in my run. And I think it's the validation loss that is decreasing over 500 iterations. And finally, there is more information on training metrics that is saved at the end of the training process. So this is the kind of metrics that the agent is going to collect. As a conclusion, I think it's a good starting point. It's very interesting. And one thing that I noticed is that it doesn't do anything on your data before. You have to do the start. You do the starting. You do the exploratory data analysis, data cleanup, and the initial model. And there is when it takes over, and it can do all the iterations that you want on that model. So in that sense, it's probably a big time saver, and it tries lots of things, and it may not be completely truthful, despite all the checks and checkpoints that it has. It might still do small mistakes or small hallucinations here and there, but nevertheless, it's a very good automatic tool to try a lot of interesting tweaks. And it does need to run in a sandboxed environment, because this agent is going to modify code, and that modification might include downloading a Python library that you don't know if it's safe or not. So they provide a method to containerize the running environment. And well, they also mentioned the same authors mentioned that this might be abused to create papers and send them to a conference, and on the other side, it could be abused to automatically review those papers by the conference. So that would be a problem. Uh, Finally, I just added a reference to the two papers, and the AI scientist is the paper, and the the other uh, the other agent that does the code changes. And this is all. Thank you.